Okay, so today we're going to attempt to begin the very complex area of halacha when it comes to Megillah and in general halacha of Shabbos and other areas of halacha. When it comes to are microphones allowed for the reading of the Megillah or for davening in general? And similarly, could a person fulfill their obligation through Zoom or maybe a phone call? What's the story over there? And then lastly, which directly has to do with this topic, is someone who wears hearing aids. Is he obligated to take them off, right? And is there a difference between if he could hear without them, just not so well, versus if he can't hear at all? So,
Obviously, if he can't hear at all, then how could he take them out?
right, correct. So what's his story over there? Could he still fulfill his obligation? Correct. So we are going to right now go through just what the Dirshu Mishna Berura presents in Siman Tuf Reish Pei Test. We're going to start from over here. Try to go through this. And we're not going to finish this today. That's 100% sure. And, but we're just going to go through what they say. B'cheresh hashameya rak al yidei kli kemin chatzot tzra. Let's say you have someone who can't hear, and he could only hear by means of a type of hearing aid. Rabbi Shari Tshuva she'ena nechshev cheresh. He's not considered someone who can't hear. Chen Katsav Mishnah Berura La'el. Similarly, the Mishnah Berura writes this earlier in Siman Tavkov Beites. Le'inyan chiyuva b'mitzvah shofar, regarding his obligation when it comes to the mitzvah of shofar. U'le'inyan kaved shmiya hashameya be'ezras machshir shmiya. Let's say someone who it's difficult for him to hear with the help of a hearing aid. Ha'im yoytzei bazeh yedei chayva. Will he fulfill his obligation or not? Chasa b'shaylos and shuvas minchas yitzchak. So Rabbi Dayan Yitzchak Weiss writes in his Shilos and Shuvas in Chilek Al Simin Lamed Zayin, B'Shem Rabbi Hankin, Sheyesh Oimrim Shenechshav Kishamea Kol Havar. Some say that it sounds like you're hearing your own echo. So the Minchas Yitzchak is in the PDF right over here, and we are gonna see that inside. It's relatively short. It's a long tshuva. Most of this tshuva he's talking about Hilchos Shabbos, and at the end he says, someone who hears Misha Shomea bekavdus beloy mechayna, im leshtamish b'mechayna, ki levar chashesh iser Shabbos yishar medina kishomea kol avar. Someone who could hear, but albeit difficultly, he could hear, but it's difficult to do so. Without a machine, he should not use this machine. He should not use the hearing aid. So he's talking about using a hearing aid on Shabbos. So there could be a problem with using a hearing aid on Shabbos. What the post can basically say is that if the hearing aid is set before Shabbos, it stays in there during Shabbos and the whole Shabbos, so then that's basically fine if he needs it. But anyways, to put it out and in, there's more issues of that on Shabbos of Muksa. So some say it has the halachic status of you're hearing like the echo. It's not the real voice. The ina yoitzi yidei chayvas kriya satayra, the kriya shema, Megilah al yada, which you wouldn't fulfill your obligation if you listen to laning, or excuse me, not Kriyash Mavet, to Kiyah Shofar, if you listen to Shofar, and Megillah through this hearing aid. Microphone, and similarly, one would not fulfill his obligation by listening to a microphone or a loudspeaker, according to this opinion. Yes, are you allowed to use a microphone on Shabbos and Yontif? So in the Siman Hine b'Sefer on Israel al Haviu Gedolei Ha'achronim She'achlitu L'Eser. The sefer that he previously quoted, this is Rabbi Hankin's sefer called Eidus L'Yisrael, who he's quoting right over here. Here's the page. So he says that no, it's prohibited. L'dugma Ya'ayin b'koybetz ha'tevuna she'yoytzi l'or b'Yushalayim Yira Kodesh she'hetik psak megadol echa b'tor she'ela v'tshuva v'zel l'shoyna. Mahu l'daber b'Shabbos b'ramkol. Hainu microphone. Could you speak in a microphone on Shabbos? The answer is Ladaber b'Shabbos b'Ramkol Hainu microphone or b'telephone or the radio b'Kol Mili shemedaber b'Shabbos oisav malacha. Wow. V'zeh havara gemura achas melametes malachos b'Shabbos. What tremendous insight on a microphone. He said that every single word that you speak in the microphone or in the telephone or any type of device like this, every single word that you speak, you are violating an av malacha, which means the Shabbos has 39 primary acts that you're not allowed to do. You're violating one of them, which is the act of havara, of burning. Consider it as if you made a fire.
Huh.
But
No,
obviously, you have to be intentional. I'm guessing
yeah,
if
yeah,
someone's around you and you're
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah, yeah. He wants to say it's prohibited on Yontif as well.
in that community,
It's havara as well.
because you can
And
tell.
yeah, it's an issue. And there's a what you call a mitzias of havar b'shtamshus a microphone. It's actual burning. You're starting a fire. You're burning for no reason.
So why wouldn't mitoch work?
It's not shavel kol nefesh. I mean, it's not. You don't need it, right? So this is the sheet of the Minchas Yitzchak, who hold that it would be an issue. Kishmei kol var ve'eno, and it's not. Yoitzi bazeh yedei chayva. You would not fulfill your obligation with this. V'chein das agon Rosh Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Now this is much longer. We're gonna have to come back to these chuvas. Uh, okay. So he writes in the Mincha Shlomo in a few places. We're gonna come back to these. Chelik Aleph, he writes about this. Chelik Beisha Inza Kolo Shel Adam. It's not considered a person's voice. V'ina yoytze boyfen ze yidei chayva. A person would not fulfill their obligation. Ki machshir hashmiya memamir as gali kol ha'adam lezarim chashmali, because the hearing aid it changes the sound waves from the voice to an electric current or flow. Shenehefech bechazar la'acher mikan ba'oifen mechni legali kol, which reverts after and then transfers into basically it sounds like a voice, it's more sound waves. We're going to come back to this, like I said. B'chein das adas Torah. There's also the opinion of the das Torah. Linyan shmiyas Megilah b'telephone o b'pit pun, a recorder type of player, phonograph or recorder type of player. If you listen to it from a recording, for sure that wouldn't work. B'chein das. I think we can look that up. The das Torah, if I'm not mistaken,
The phonograph.
was relatively short in here. So the long ones I don't want to do. The short ones I want to do. Over here, okay. We're gonna come back to this halachic time. It's gonna get all over the place, and then at the end over here, he says, "Lefiza lo yotze im shama." You wouldn't fulfill your obligation if you heard Kia Shofar Megillah through a telephone. Okay, says it over there. All right, and Rav Eliyashiv also, and the Halichos Van Hagos. I think that was also relatively short, so we could quickly look that up.
No one even says b'diavad, huh?
No, either you hold it, it's good, or it's no good.
You said the Rav
We're gonna see.
says
We're gonna look
too?
into it. We're gonna go. This is just the beginning. He says over here, look, Kavod Shmiya Sheish Lamachshir Messiah Lashmiya. Guy can't hear. He has the hearing aid thing. Im bli hamachshir no shemiya rakol havara ba'alma ina yachol lahoitzi. So if without this hearing aid that he has, he can't hear. He could only hear like type of echoes. He can't read Megillah for someone else. However, im shomea kol devarim, if he does hear, v'hamachshir no yi'ed lahativ es shmiya, the hearing aid just enhances his hearing ability. Yoitzi u'motzi acherim, he could even read the Megillah for others. That's how he brings it over there. It's nice to see that inside. So he says, "She'im bli hamachshir no shemea ra'kol devarim yoitzi ve'ini yachol lahoitzi dichova v'im gam li hamachshir shemea kol devarim v'hamachshir no lahativ es shmiya yoitzi moti dichova," like we just saw. However, the Chazon Ish says argues. What's this going on? Sham and footnote 4. That's Sham in the Mincha Shlomo. We're going to see about that. So the Chazon Ish says, "Kevan shakol hanishma noitzal yidei adam." Since the sound that is created happened through a person created that sound. V'gam nishma miyad kederech hamedaber, also could be heard immediately. When you talk into a phone or microwave, it's heard immediately on the other end through the speakers or another person's phone. It could be considered full-fledged listening. V'chein das Hagon Rav Pesach Frank. Also Rav Pesach Frank says this as well. She is sakin shlinyan kriyas Megillah kaven sheshamea is kol hakoyrei. When it comes to listening to Megillah, since you could hear the voice of the Balkar, the person who's reading the Megillah, av shema'urav bo gam kol acher, even though it's mixed within that other voices, you would fulfill your obligation. However, by Tekiya Shofar, he says you wouldn't fulfill your obligation, since if you hear echo, you wouldn't fulfill your obligation. In other words, if there's a mixture of another voice, you wouldn't fulfill your obligation. So they hold that Megillah, you'd be good. Moshe Feinstein also has several chuvas on this, and he says the Indian kriyas a Megillah ali day microphone, guarding Megillah through a microphone. Sha'av im eino kol adam ela kol acher shenasem makoilo. Let's say it's not the voice of a person. It's the voice of someone else, that it came from his voice. Let's say it's not the original voice. Could very well be that it's considered a person's voice. Since it happened from his voice when he was talking, and he also writes that in a third tshuva, it's three tshuvas, regarding listening to the Megillah through a telephone. We're going to come back to that, but he says in a pressing situation it could work. However, you should not be using the microphone even in a pressing situation, and obviously the telephone. And you should rebuke those who do it. It's not so simple that it's allowed. And also, you don't want people to start all of these new ideas and concepts. Which is against halacha. Also, the Shevet HaLevi says that you should refrain from doing so. I want to just look this tshuva up in the Igros Moshe. Chelik Dalid. Oh, there's two Chelik Dalids. Why are there four Igros Moshes over here? I only see three. It must have been from something we did before. Okay, so this is the one inside the Aleph. Let's take a look at the language that he uses inside over here. Hine, Efshar. The title of this is regarding listening to Abdallah on a telephone for a woman who's in a hospital. We're going to talk about Abdallah also. If it's impossible for her to hear Havdalah where she is in the hospital, so okay, so she should hear on the telephone rather than not hear it at all. You have nothing to lose. Yeah? Then he says by Megillah and Havdalah, whole mitzvahs dibur shebachol hu ki Megillah lavad kriyat shema b'yichsa mazon shesarach limchos be'elo haroitzin lasis b'microphone. You should protest those who want to fulfill their obligation on a microphone. Therefore, kevan she'iyavshar la l'shmaya Havdalah beis hacholim, since she can't hear it in the hospital. Sricha l'shma day telephone. She needs to hear up with the telephone. V'chein tzarich lanos amein al bracha. This is controversial psak also, but this is what Moshe Feinstein holds, that she should answer amein on the bracha that she hears through the telephone and the microphone. But the microphone is suffix because of a doubt. Moshe is more fiery about it in another place.
But here he's saying there's no other way, I guess.
Yeah,
But
if there's no other way, that's right. It could be over here. He's gonna.
And then it's more the Rabban, I guess, and he didn't say which Megillah, I guess, but we said night is the Rabban.
No difference.
Well, we said night is the Rabban.
Yeah, no difference regarding this halacha. Over here, he has another tshuva. This is Moshe, what they just quoted. He said that it's hard to split up the minyan into two. There's not enough room. You do it in one room, but when everyone's gathering in one room in the shul, so then you're not going to hear it. Whatever. If you don't have a microphone, maybe pressing situation, you could allow it.
Allow what? Splitting up
Using the
room
microphone, not splitting it up, keeping them in one room, but use the microphone so everyone will hear. But he says, since it's not so clear that this is permissible, and this is something that's new, you shouldn't do it. Even though it's difficult, don't do it according to my humble opinion, says Rav Moshe. B'achamar v'lo yokir Megilah aflo b'misakesha shekulam yachad yanako es makom. What he's saying is, look, you had logistic issues because of room and the lunchroom and the cafeteria, whatever. He says, look, better to delay the laning, clean up shop over there, put it all in one room, and do it in a better situation. That's what he says over there, rather than jumping onto the microphone situation. So he doesn't like the microphone over here, and that's basically the tshuva over here. You see, he doesn't like it. He says, clean up the room first, make sure that there's room. All right, I think that's another tshuva or two from Moshe. Let's see that inside. We did the $2. He has the bays. Is this on the microphone or this is on the women? Yeah, this is the microphone. I think this is going to be the nice tshuva. Yeah, this is the one. He says regarding reading the Megillah through a microphone, kasha leimer b'zeh halacha berura. It's very difficult to say a clear halacha regarding this matter. Ki loinis barer kibra'ui. It wasn't clarified properly. Ich nishma al yedei zeh al yedei anashim haroy lismoch aleim. V'chein ein ra'ui lekros Megillah shishma al yedei microphone. Therefore, you should not be using the microphone. But atakim medume shalom nishalti al zeh loimer b'zeh halacha. V'ini zoicher klam asher chas v'josses b'shem rav sayer. Echad shemarti shein limchos b'yadam aval. Masha p'titi lekeres v'asher shein yoitzim b'shmi al yedei. Microphone mitam shu k'mo shemeh meina barchi u'lefi masha chas v'dar. Mom ki b'tivol shal microphone shalom motzi mamish kol shal adam adabra. Allah had havara b'alma. He's saying that if you speak to the experts who understand the technology and the nuances of how microphones work, it's a different voice that comes out. And it's not considered like you heard it from someone who's actually obligated. He said, he says, no, it's not considered an echo like it gets discussed in the Mishnah on Meseches Rosh Hashanah and Meseches Rosh Hashanah on Daf Chav Zayin. Hacha nishma kol chazak ubri. Over here, you're hearing the voice loud and clear. It's not a problem that you can't hear the voice, that it's not audible. You could hear it, it's just a different voice. And that's why it's a good comparison. It's as if you're hearing it from someone who is not obligated. Rather than someone's flying in there and then your ear hears it. The voice has to be able to hear, that the ear has to be able to hear the voice, and there can't be any delay at all. Could be considered a person's voice, and therefore it could be that the voice of a person is heard on the microphone when it's instant. And it's logical to say that. It's not so simple to say that it's another voice. Microphone. Here he says a little different. It's possible that according to this, you shouldn't protest those who do want to use the microphone. Don't think that people are going to deduce if you could use a microphone for Megillah, you could use it for shofar and laning the Torah on Shabbos, reading from the Torah. No one's going to make that mistake. The also ladaba a microphone by Shabbos and Yontif. You're not allowed to speak in a microphone on Shabbos and Yontif. But mitzvahs dibur shebachol in gamkin yukri a microphone ha'in lim close with Megillah kol shkem elu. So he's saying that technically it could be used. However, since it's not so clear that it's permissible, and this is a new concept, new in that day and age, he says that you should rebuke someone who's going to do this in order to prevent them from running after other new ideas which are halachically problematic. which is quite prevalent in these countries. The land of the free, home of the brave.
We know which shivas came first. We would be growing in
I'm
order.
not sure. I wish it had the date over here. It doesn't even have the date.
Not,
Oh, here's a date. Gosh, no date on this one. It's not dated. Over here, there's a date. This was 60 years ago, this tshuva. This one, there's no date.
it's around the same.
I'll open up the other tshuvas. But
60 years ago, it was in the 60s.
okay, I wanted to tackle the Piskei Tshuvas today. All right, we did a pretty good job. We looked up most of the stuff over here. Comes out that we looked up everything except for the Shevet HaLevi, and I mean the meat and potatoes, which is the Mincha Shlomo. He's the one who has the most length, and he's the one who's going to quote this Chazon Ish. But everything else, other than that, Shevet HaLevi and the Mincha Shlomo, we did over here. Oh, here, this is very short. Halilu lahanik chadashos ki zeh techilas harisa. Chas v'shalom to do new things because that is the beginning of the destruction. Now we did everything except the Mikra. Hein emes im echa kvar shama diyevid al yidei ramkol hayisi mechayvo lishmo beis pam and vabli bracha. Someone who heard Megillah from the microphone, if he asked the Shaila, did I fulfill my obligation? Rabbi Shmuel Vazman would say, go listen to Megillah again, but don't make a new bracha on it. Kevin Demikar din karv. It could be that technically speaking you fulfilled your obligation, but we're not sure, so that's why you should hear it again. V'chein in yulul mitziyah shel bittul hakriya lagamri im no al yedei eitza hanizkal hayisi dan ora pamba v'alo nishalti al zeh yesh odolis yashiv abanidan ragul kamosh kosev. So he doesn't like it. He does not like it, and he rules that you should really hear it again. Maybe bidi evid. Really, after the fact, you would be good. So tomorrow we're gonna go through or in the next session the Mincha Shlomo and the Piskei Teshuvos is gonna quote more. Ravaji Yosef is gonna talk about this. Does he say a date in this one? Here, Tufshin Mem. So it's gonna be 45 years ago this tshuva was written from Ramosha, and the other tshuva was written. Okay, this one I don't have it on the page. It's the beginning of the tshuva, and I didn't make a PDF file on it. Anyways, this is a very nice simon. 60 sources, not bad.
Wow.
Not bad for a simon this size.
Yeah.
That's the truth. All right, so Mitzvah Hashem, tomorrow we will continue. Everyone should have a wonderful day. Stick around for part 2.
Sure.